Hey, so today we're going to talk about the cell and its organelles. So there are two main types of cells. There are prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cells have just RNA in an open cytosol area. They have ribosomes, no organelles, and then they just have a plasma membrane around them at the edges. Whereas eukaryotic cells are the cells that we have in us mostly, and they have their own set of organelles, each with their own functions and all of that, and they have DNA instead of RNA. So let's get into the cells. Cells are open systems, and the first outer part is the cell membrane. So they consist of a protective phospholipid bilayer that forms a cell membrane, and that is used for communication, recognition, and to keep out harmful substances, and also for diffusion across the membrane of materials. So then we move into the nucleus. So the nucleus is the organelle that has all of the DNA. The nucleus is the command center of the cell, and it's also where the start of protein replication and protein synthesis begins, is with the DNA in the nucleus. So it guides all the other functions of your cells, and it has an envelope around it which is much like the cell membrane. It lets nutrients into and out of the nucleus to keep it alive. It's kind of like how a brain works. So then in between all of these things there is the cytoplasm, or the cytosol. There's two different names for it, and that's just a jelly-like substance where it contains nutrients and it allows nutrients to move through it. It allows diffusion to happen. All of these are found in plant and animal cells. And two things which you find only in plant cells are the cell wall and the chloroplast. So obviously the cell wall is just a hard, rigid cellulose wall outside of the cell membrane to give a plant cell its shape, while the chloroplasts are the site of photosynthesis in a plant cell. So they provide the creation of sugar. They have the thylakoid membranes, stroma, grana, and that's where photosynthesis happens to make glucose and sugar, provide energy for the cell, so the mitochondria can power that cell. Plant cells also have one large central vacuole, whereas animal cells have multiple smaller decentralized vacuoles, and the vacuole is just a storage area for waste, water, and some nutrients as well stored there. And it also, in plant cells, it regulates turgor pressure, which is how stiff the plant cell is, how much water is in there to keep the plant upright. The more turgor pressure, the stiffer the plant, the more upright it is. So now we move into the lysosomes, which are found in both. They are small digestive sacs, which they contain digestive enzymes to break down macromolecules so the cell can use them properly. Then we move into the endoplasmic reticulum, which is a series of interconnected folded sacs that are connected to the nuclear membrane. There are two endoplasmic reticulums. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which is responsible for the production of lipids and fats, while the rough endoplasmic reticulum, it's called rough because it has ribosomes, is used for protein synthesis. Speaking of ribosomes, there are small little sacs almost where mRNA moves in with a coded section of DNA for polypeptide, tRNA translates it there, and you build amino acids into peptide chains in the ribosomes, creating proteins. And the Golgi apparatus is a flat set of disc-shaped sacs, and it is used for packaging and transporting materials made in the rough and smooth endoplasmic reticulums into little vesicles so that they can be moved out of the cell. It's like the airport of the cell. Then one of the most important parts of the cell, the mitochondria, is the site of ATP synthesis, and it is where the cell gets all of its energy power from. The ATP is made there first through glycolysis, then pyruvate oxidation, the Krebs cycle, and eventually an electron transport chain that gives you around 34 ATP for every glucose molecule, and ATP is the basic currency of the cell when it comes to energy and functioning. Some key structural components of cells are lipids, which are obviously the most important function is in the membranes, like the vesicle membranes, the vacuole membrane, the plasma membrane, and the nuclear membrane. There's also carbohydrates, which are also used to power the cell, and then proteins and nucleic acids, obviously, in the DNA, and some cells RNA. And then when it comes to comparing plant and animal cells have centrioles, no cell walls, no chlorophyll, and they use glycogen to store their energy, while plant cells have no centrioles, they do have cell walls, they do have chlorophyll, and they store their energy in the form of starch. And that is it for cells today. Thank you.